Hey guys, it's Luthien, and along with Emrys, we are Girls with Sabers. We are starting a new series that's going to weave our Kylo Ren psychology with our Rey psychology. So, here is Reylo psychology, with the Meyers-Briggs Keirsey temperament sorter. Also, there are a few audio bumps and noises that, as usual, follow Girls with Sabers around like a bad freaking habit. So fair warning, thank you again for sticking with us through our audio troubles. Also, today's shout-out is going to B Spirit, who 4 days ago left a great message for us after our Heart of a Solo podcast. This episode has messed me up, in a good way. I am rethinking and reanalyzing all the Star Wars characters because of your intelligent analysis. I now see Kylo/Ben and Rey are the protagonists, while Hux/Poe are the antagonists. If they play it as you predict, Episode 9 could end up being the best Star Wars. We heartily agree with you, B Spirit. Again, guys, don't forget to leave a comment, leave a like, share, and subscribe. You possibly could get a shout out before our next podcast. Enjoy.
Love Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. Woo!
It's like
Myers-Briggs.
And I will just say up front, this is not a science. No personality test is going to tell the absolute truth about you or a character or a story. Very similar to archetypes and tropes. I mean,
No, it's not. It's not the end-all, be-all to personality. But when you read it all started with Carl Jung.
Yeah.
And then these two women, a mother and daughter, they pretty much kind of expanded on Carl Jung's psychological types.
I will say that I am more of a Keirsey temperament sorter. David Keirsey was a student of Myers-Briggs. I did a college class on group dynamics and how personalities work with each other. That was the one that we used, and I love it so much more.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, you had Carl Jung, the initiator,
Mm-hmm.
The kind of father of it all, and then Myers-Briggs just built upon that, and now you have Keirsey building upon that.
Yeah. Basically, there are 16 personality types, and those are established by basically the 4 functions that you have.
E and the I, which would be extrovert and introvert, that's how the person focuses their attention or gets their energy.
Yeah.
And the S and the N would be sensing and intuition. N is used for intuition because I is already being taken for introvert. So sensing and intuition would be how they perceive or take in information. Thinking and feeling, or T and F, would be how they prefer to make decisions. And then J and P, which would be judgment and perception, would be how the person orients themselves to the external world or their surroundings.
If you put all those letters in the patterns that they could be, all the patterns only form 16 personality types.
Yeah.
And those personality types are under more defined categories of artisan, which are your SFs, your sensors, fillers, guardians with our SJs, but we're going to focus on the rational and the idealist, which are NTs and NFs. And that's basically intuitives who make decisions through their minds and intuitives who make their decisions from the heart.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about how we see Reylo functioning as the Keirsey temperament sorter or Myers-Briggs. They're both the same thing. And again, here's a disclaimer. I know some people have talked about Myers-Briggs and Kylo Ren and Rey. Again, we are not scientists. These are fictional characters. We are just talking about how we perceive these characters functioning. And of course, if you think differently, we would love to hear your opinions. And I have not read anybody's blog or meta or anything. That this is purely based on my study of Myers-Briggs and what I see of Reylo, which I'm pretty obsessed with both both things. Kylo Ren, I wondered about Kylo Ren for a long time. I first thought he was irrational. And then I saw The Last Jedi. And then I thought, no, he's an INFP. I don't see an idealist there. I think what people see is that he has such volatile personality. So they think he's a filler. He's very intuitive. So he's definitely an N. But I don't think he's a filler. I think he's irrational and he makes decisions based on logic, not on feelings. I mean, I don't think he is a filler. And I think,
No, certainly not. I think he's more of a thinker, and he certainly, just because he's a thinker doesn't mean he can't feel deeply. But that's more of the
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, that's more of the PTSD that he is suffering from than anything.
We found an article that INTJs are more likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, from being isolated, from prone to narcissism, and prone to like schizophrenic behavior too. And we'll put this article right there for anyone who wants to peruse it.
But we've seen that, everyone thinks it's a calligraphy set that was in his hut at the, Jedi temple. But I think that was him working on his lightsaber. Those were the lightsaber tools. Not that he couldn't perform beautiful calligraphy or write wonderful poetry. But I think that very much is methodical in his view of what he thinks the galaxy needs.
A lot of people misunderstand that rationals have no feelings.
Right.
They do. They can have some of the strongest feelings. They just don't like to show it. They think that that the brain or thoughts or logic is superior to the heart. That's one of the reasons why you see a lot of the great villains in myths and legends are more the rationals. The heroes are more the idealist. If you look at the Meyers-Briggs charts for Star Wars, most of the Jedis are idealists, which is the NF.
Yep.
So that makes sense why Kylo did not feel Jedi enough while he was there, because here he's a rational and not an idealist. Like, why are these Jedis going with tradition and not thinking new and revolutionary and how we could really help the galaxy instead of just emotions and feelings? Like, what does Luke always say? Search with your feelings.
Right. And you sent me a lot of good things as far as the emails. The thing that I locked on to is how much we feel that he is an INTJ. And I found a really good, I'd say quote, but quote does it an injustice because it's pretty much a huge paragraph. But as far as INTJs go, INTJ is introvert. It is also intuition, thinking, and judgment. And this quote is by Marina Margaret Heiss. And she says, and I pulled this off of Wikipedia, INTJs apply, often ruthlessly, the criterion, quote, does it work, end quote, to everything from their own research efforts to the prevailing social norms. This in turn produces an unusual independence of mind, freeing the INTJ from the constraints of authority, convention, or sentiment for its own sake. INTJs are known as the systems builders of the psychological types, perhaps in part because they possess the unusual trait of combining imagination and reliability. Whatever system an INTJ happens to be working on is for them the equivalent of a moral cause to an INFJ. Both perfectionism and disregard for authority come into play. Here's what grabbed me. Personal relationships, particularly romantic ones, can be the INTJ's Achilles heel. This happens in part because many INTJs do not readily grasp the social rituals. Perhaps the most fundamental problem, however, is that they really want people to make sense.
One of the quotes that I love, and it does not have a author, is INTJs do not love broadly. They love specifically and intensely. And they study everything. So one of the things that an INTJ does when they think that they like you is they study all of your patterns. They know all of your details. And you see that with Kylo Ren. You see him kind of studying Rey, and he knows Rey, I think, better than Rey knows herself. And knows her situations. This is just a couple of definitions of INTJs. They're not very complimentary, would rather be friendless than jobless. They're an observer. They're detached, private, not much fun, hidden, skeptical, does not tend to like most people, socially uncomfortable, not physically affectionate, unhappy, does not talk about feelings, hard to impress, analytical, tends to be pessimistic, not spontaneous, prone to discontentment, guarded, does not think they are weird, but others do. They can be insensitive or oblivious to the misfortunes of others. That reminds me so much of that proposal scene where he is like singularly focused on Rey, and Rey is like, look at the people, the fleet, and he's like, no, we need to get the proposal out the door.
Did you just read the definition of Byronic hero?
I
and also, if we looked in the dictionary, that two pictures would show up: a picture of Fitzwilliam Darcy and a picture of Mr. Rochester, because you just described them to an absolute T.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kylo Ren is the embodiment of Mr. Darcy and Mr. Rochester.
Did you see that I sent you a meme of Darcy's picture? And it says, INTJ, just because we appear to be loners, judgmental, condescending, arrogant, unfeeling, antisocial perfectionists, doesn't mean we are terribly fond of you.
Yeah. I mean, by nature, INTJs can be demanding in expectations, and they're going to approach a relationship in a rational manner.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that, and we sound like a broken record, but that whole throne room proposal scene, the great negator was used at the end. People in our comment, I shouldn't say people, it was one person who I blocked. But this person says, how can anyone stand there and, say all those things about Rey? I mean, he practically called her garbage, and you guys want them to get married? And then he said some other colorful things, and I proceeded to block him. But I'm going, no one, is anyone paying attention to the end here when he said, but not to me?
No.
I'm not saying his delivery is right.
No.
But, the delivery makes sense for someone who's rational. You're all these things in reality. You came from Jakku. You, as far as I can tell, you really are not meant to be in the story, but here you are. Here you are against all of my thought processes.
INTJs, they may not love everyone, but when they fall in love intensely and passionately. Like they want you become their whole world.
Oh, I mean, they're stable, they're dedicated, and they're reliable. So, but because of that, if you cross them, they're done.
Oh my gosh. There is a man who compared them to the Black Knight. I found this weeks after we did our Black Knight comparison, and I shared it with Luthien in Messenger, and we both died.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen to this. We'll put this on the screen. The INTJ can be likened to the Black Knights of old. They are independent men who earn their place with cunning intellect and unwavering bravery. The Black Knight rarely removes their armor. In it, they are protected from all harm. A trusted few are allowed to see the knight beneath. They do not always stand out in a crowd, but they will gladly lend their skills to a just cause if they think it is worth it. And I think we're going to see that with Kylo. I think he's going to be, because in Last Jedi he didn't see them worth saving at all. I think the cause will be if he sees that it can bring justice to the galaxy.
He's the Byronic hero, but he will flat INTJs. INTJs do not outright love shared. INTJs do not outright like sharing their feelings. They just don't, and they don't know how to convey their feelings either. The same with Mr. Darcy, the same with Mr. Rochester. They don't know how to share their feelings. And finally, Rochester is explaining to Jane as she's like bumbling, like, I'm a free spirit, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, don't you get it? I love you. I love you. That's what I'm trying to say. I love you.
And look how
and Darcy at the end is the same way. It's like, but he says it a little bit more, with less ferocity. But he goes, I love you. I love you. I'm a fool. They both think they're fools. They were so blind. Both of them were blind. We will have this moment with Ben Solo where we will get this act of selflessness, and Rey will also find out that she was blind too, because I don't think we saw at the end of The Last Jedi where she very adamantly closed that door on him. Like she hit that button with a oomph. Like she's like, I'm done, as she should have done, but it'll prove to be to her detriment because she will not be able to stay away from him. She'll be pulled to him. The Force is not having any of this. And the Force is going to just push them on back towards each other, even with more ferocity than it already has. Getting back to Ben being an INTJ, INTJs want harmony in all aspects of their lives. Like, they need to see things laid out before them.
Oh, yeah. It's the
right.
chess game that they have. They want order
Correct.
too. But
correct. They want order.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think no one truly has seen, like, the characters in the film. Like, everyone thinks they know what Kylo Ren's intentions are. Everyone thinks they have, even fans, characters in the film. I mean, everyone thinks they have Kylo Ren pegged. Like, no one is grasping the concept that what was Ben Solo's, like, he said, I will finish what you started to Vader. But that was never delved into. Who knows? Ben Solo saying grandfather, or he didn't say grandfather, but I feel it again, the pull to the light. Does that mean he hated that he was feeling the pull to the light? Show me, grandfather, and I will finish what you started. And yes, he's talking to Vader's mask, but that's because that's all he has of Vader right now, is that mask. But how are we to know that what he was saying to that mask wasn't, help me, grandfather, I feel this again, the pull to the light. I can't stop feeling this again, this pull to the light. Help me finish what you started, which is this new galaxy, this idea that you had that you never were able to complete on your own. And now he sees Rey. He gets his answer. Help me, grandfather, and I will finish what you started. I'm feeling this again, the pull to the light. And when she calls that saber to her, and it's that Excalibur moment, the look that he has on his face is practically, grandfather, you gave me the answer.
practically handed her
You
your
spoon-fed
saber.
her to me, grandfather.
Yeah. Well, and in the novelization, he says, it's you.
Yes, it's you, meaning you're the answer.
Or
I need you
yeah.
to help me do this. I can't do this alone. I need you. Even if just her being is the catalyst for him to change some of his tactic on how he's going to be this benevolent leader, it's never, ever probably his intention for Snoke to rule or Hux.
No.
Ben has always wanted to be the leader. Why? Because look, he had Leia Organa as a mother. So INTJs aren't just like ruling from behind the scenes. They are very much, this is how it should be. And I want everyone to know that I know how this is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
they normally don't like to be in the spotlight, but they will when there's no one else. They
know that what they're doing is for the greater good.
Right.
And they don't like the spotlight, but them running a tight ship and people respecting that and not going against their rule is enough for them.
And if you think that's heavy-handed, INTJs don't really like a lot of rules and regulations. What they like is clockwork.
Yes, clockwork. And really that's kind of what the galaxy needs right now, because look at what happened when there was the pendulum shift of rules and regulations, and then, light side being too much and then dark side being too much. And it goes back to Benicio del Toro's character telling Finn, you blow them up one day and they'll blow you up the next. It's who's really right here. But Ben Solo has it right, where, yes, there needs to be change. But he's got this corrupt snake spitting his venom into his ear, into his soul. So yes, what he's doing is dark, but it's because he doesn't have the correct people telling him, helping him along. He's being spoon-fed poison.
Yeah.
He needs a ray of light. He needs an idealist who can be a champion and a healer to help him. Help him with his wounds and the galaxy's wounds.
Hello, this is Emrys, and with Luthien, thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell icon that will give you notifications every time we post a new one. And of course, like, comment, and do all those things. Peace, love, and Reylo, guys.
All magic comes with a price.